Hey there, Brian Goulet here of gouletpens.com, and we are back here with another ink showdown. We've already done black, we've done red, we did sheening ink, and now I've got a bunch of blue-black inks. So these are all like your very typical like work appropriate, something more interesting than black inks. And so I got 10 popular blue blacks here. I'm gonna swab them, I'm gonna rank them, and y'all are gonna watch it because that's what this is all about, right? Before we get into all that though, I gotta explain to you, why is it called blue-black? Now, it's not just a dark blue. There's actually a historical reason why this range of color is called blue-black. So it goes way back in the day, before fountain pens. There was an ink that was called iron gall ink. This goes all the way back to the Dead Sea Scrolls, thousands of years. But basically, you had an ink that was made from crushing up oak galls and using a bunch of other things like, iron sulfate and various things like that. And you would mix up this component to get a really good permanent ink. However, because of the iron content in that ink, it would go down a dark blue, but as the iron oxidized on the paper, as it was exposed to air, it would turn black. So ink was called blue-black because it would start out blue and turn black over like a couple of days or maybe a week. So that just kind of carried over as fountain pens started to come out. There were some iron gall inks. There's still a couple around today. The formulations change because it's pretty acidic and stuff like that. It's really not made for fountain pens, the true iron gall stuff. But I don't know, the name just kind of stuck over the last 150 years. And so all of the colors that are really in that dark bluish range are kind of called blue-black. So there you go, a little bit of history. That's what this is all about. There's no firm definition of what's a blue-black versus a navy versus a dark blue. So we are just kind of making this up a little bit, but this is best knowledge that I have, best of what I know of the inks that we have available here, what I consider to be blue blacks. And I got 10 of them, and we're gonna swab them all up, so let's do it. All right, so to swab these up, I'm gonna do what I've done in other similar videos. I've got a Kakamori nib, which is like a dip nib that's gonna help to like kind of swab and get a bunch of ink on the paper. I've got a Rohrer and Klingner glass pen, which helped me to do a little fine writing so I can write the name of it. And I've cut up some Tomoe River 52 gram white sheets. I debated about using Tomoe for these ones because it's like, there's not as many like fantastic properties like there was with the sheening or something like that. But I was like, you know what? We'll stay consistent with some of the other videos we've done. And it will really show some of the, it'll bring out more of the color and stuff like that. So that's what we're going with. And yeah, I got 10 inks and let's kick it off. Noodler is 54th, Massachusetts. All right, so we're kicking this off with actually the best-selling blue-black ink that we have. This is really popular. And so, yeah, we're gonna show you what this one looks like. It's got that wonderful Noodler's aroma to it. It's very wet. Oh boy, I've got to spell Massachusetts. Let's see. Massachusetts. Oh my gosh. Is that right? I don't think so. I think I spelled it wrong. No, there's no E. Okay. Boop. Pretend like that didn't happen. All right. I should know this by now. And then let's swab it up. Okay. This is a very dark ink. Very dark ink. Nice color though. With these types of blue-black inks, you can get some that go more teal, some that go more of like a gray. I think the gray component to a dark blue ink is part of maybe what makes it blue-black as opposed to a navy. I think there were other inks that I could have chosen for today that do go more navy, but I didn't want as like vibrant of a blue. So we'll let that dry for a minute, and it's going to take the number 1 slot because that's all there is at the moment. Pilot Iroshizuku Shin-kai. All right, this might have the best looking bottle of the bunch. I love Iroshizuku bottles. They look awesome. They got that little divot down in there so you can get your nib all the way down to the bottom, which will not matter today because I'm using dip pens. But beautiful looking packaging. Pilot inks are really just good all around. Very low drama, no crazy properties, just a good conventional ink that flows well, pretty easy to clean. And this is their blue-black ink. Shin-kai, there we go. I think I might have spelled Shim-kai. I mess up my M's and my N's all the time. If y'all do too, you're in good company. With the Kakamori. Ooh, so this is going down more of a vibrant blue. Now I'm sure that's going to dry and it's going to darken up a little bit. Now that I'm watching 54th Massachusetts, you know, eventually dry whenever it feels like getting around to that. This looks like more of a true blue, but I can already see at the edges there, it's starting to gray up a little bit as it dries, but maybe this will be a more vibrant blue. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how I'm going to rank these things, to be totally honest with you. It's going to be totally subjective. It's sort of like the red ones. It's like, I don't know, like, what is truest blue-black? What even is blue-black? It's whatever people want it to be. So that's how we're going to do. It's whatever I want it to be. All right, there we go. Still got some drying to do. Got a little bit of a red sheen on the edges too. That's nice. That's a Tomoe or everything. You know, it wouldn't do that on like a Rhodia or Clairefontaine or something most likely. I'm going to rank it behind 54th Massachusetts. For the moment, they need to dry, but I don't know, to me, 54th seems like a more iconic blue-black color. It looks almost black, but with some blue, very kind of much on the gray side. Shin-kai is just a little vibrant. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to do more, and we'll see where it stacks up. Rohrer and Klingner Salix. Now, this one's interesting because this is iron gall, kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, right? So this one will darken up a little bit over time, but this is not like true iron gall, like the traditional formula of it, because honestly, that stuff is really thick. It's really acidic. It really wouldn't even flow through a fountain pen. So there's modern formulations of it that is largely, I don't know exactly how they formulate it differently these days, but I imagine it's just way less iron that's in the ink. You know, so it's just, you have less of the drama all around with it. But, you know, that is a thing. So I'm only going to be able to rank it based on how it's drying and what I'm seeing here today. But I'll try to take that into account, you know. Rohrer and Klingner, okay. The L is kind of weird. It's running into the K, but that's all right. Salix. That I can spell. Okay. This is a nice looking color. It's a nice dark, I feel like they're all going to be like, oh, and it's a nice dark blue. But that's what I was about to say. But yeah, it is. It's a nice dark blue. All right, let's dip this thing in there. I'm curious how this is going to flow in this Kakimori compared to the other ones. It seems a little drier coming off the nib here. Now, it's not a perfect test because this is a dip pen. It's not a fountain pen, but you know, I'm having to go back and forth a lot more with this thing. I feel like I'm really having to kind of draw it out of here. So I imagine, you know, I think most iron gall inks are probably like feeling a bit on the dry side as they're coming off the pen. Doesn't mean it's going to dry faster on the paper necessarily, but it feels drier, which maybe is desirable, maybe it's not. But you probably want to use a wetter nib when using an ink like this. And with any iron gall, even like a modern formulation, we don't hear about a lot of problems with this, but anything like Diamine registrars, and Platinum's got their Platinum Classic, and I know there's some other brands out there that have some iron galls. They're a little higher maintenance in the pen. You know, they can, you know, clog up a little bit. If they dry out in the pen, they're harder to clean out. And just all around, you wanna try to use them more regularly, keep the ink flowing through. And you don't want to leave it sitting in the pen for a long time if you're not using it. So, you know, just be cognizant if you're using an iron gall ink that you're keeping it moving, and then as soon as you think you might set it aside, clean it out and get it out of the pen before you store it. Still a bit wet. Boy, the Shin-Kai's got a nice little red sheen going to it here. Okay, so this is still drying, but this is iron gall. This is probably the most true iron gall blue-black of the collection here. I'm gonna move it up. I don't think it's gonna top 54th Massachusetts. That could change maybe a little bit as it dries, but Shin-Kai is a beautiful looking color, but that red sheen especially too, it's now like, all right, we're not in the plain blue-black kind of territory here. I like it, but I'm trying to go like true to form blue-black. Private Reserve Infinity Blue-Black. All right, let's go to Infinity and beyond here. So this is a newer ink from Private Reserve. This is their extended cap off, I think they called it. They put it on the front of the bottle right there. So this is formulated so that basically you can go longer, leaving it in your pen, and it won't like dry out and be unusable. So that's the idea behind it. So it'll be interesting to see what that does, especially on like a Tomoe like this. I anticipate it's going to maybe extend the dry time a little bit, But we're not exactly in lightning speed dry times here with these other inks anyway, so we'll see how it goes. All right, we got a blue/black here. Sometimes you get a blue hyphen black. There's a lot of different ways to make your blue-black name come about, and every manufacturer does it differently. This is looking like a very dark color. Now, the ink is pretty wet on the page, so it really hasn't dried that much yet, but it's looking like I can't even tell that it's blue. So that'll be interesting to see after I do the swab here and see what that looks like, and of course see after it dries, but let's go. Swab it up. Okay, okay, this is a nice color. This is definitely more on like the green teal side than just a straight up blue, at least while it's still wet here. I'm curious how that's going to dry out. That's a very pleasant looking color, very different. It's interesting how a relatively, you know, benign color, you know, is actually got a lot of nuances in between them, even just with the first 4 that I've done here. So that'll be really interesting to see how that shapes up. I'm now recognizing how impossible this is going to be to rank because they're all going to be so close to each other, and they all look really nice. The Infinity Blue-Black, it is really dark. Oh, if I like the darkness, that's going to be a factor. But I may shift these around a little bit as I go. I think Shin-Kai's got to move down. I'm going to put Infinity Blue-Black right there, and we'll come back to it. I don't think that's going to stay there, but we'll see. TWSBI Blue-Black. Got a new player here. This is a relatively new ink for the TWSBI brand. So this is their own ink. This is their big 70 ml bottle. And I believe that this one is iron gall as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's really cool. It's got a cap design that, you know, looks like what's on the pens. And if you have that Diamine 50 inkwell, it's got that same design on top. So it's pretty cool. Nice frosty bottle. You don't see that a lot with fountain pen ink. Pretty cool looking 70 ml bottle on this one. This is a big old honker. So TWSBI ended up being the dark horse in the black ink video, ended up winning the whole thing. So I'm not going to say I got like that as an expectation here, but I'm ready to be surprised. I've actually never used this thing personally. So let's give it a shot. All right, dip in the TWSBI. It's looking pretty dark. Honestly, I really like it. Which I've said that for every ink so far, I'm realizing. So if I say that I like all of them, then is that really valid? Maybe I'm just saying that. No, legitimately though. I am just kind of reacting as I'm putting these things down. I don't really have any preconceived notions for these blue-blacks necessarily. There we go. Definitely not as gray as 54th Massachusetts. It's got more of a blue component to it, kind of like Shin-kai started out with. The Infinity Blue-Black is looking a little more teal, and now I'm seeing some like red sheen coming out. So I don't know that that one's gonna beat out the others because it's starting to look a little wilder. Yeah. Let's see here. So TWSBI Blue-Black. Let's see here. If I have to go kind of with my gut at the moment, I think Shin-kai is going to end up on this row. Blue-Black TWSBI, I think I'm going to probably end up putting that above the Private Reserve. Move that around. Is that going to beat out the Salix, though? It might, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. This is not a final setting, but let's go with that. Sailor Pigmented Seiboku. All right, so I have 2 bottles of Sailor Pigmented ink here. It's pigmented, which is kind of interesting. I'll talk about that in a second, but they look really similar in the bottle. And it's kind of interesting. I wanted to show both of these because it's a little bit confusing how they're named. So they have Sailor Seiboku, S-E-I, Boku. This is called Blue-Black, but it's actually a brighter blue than the Souboku, S-O-U, which is just known as deep blue. But Seiboku came out first. It was called the Blue-Black. I think probably if they came out with both of them at the same time, Souboku would have been called Blue-Black. But we're going to swap both of them up so I can show you the difference between the two. I do not have high hopes that this one is going to be, you know, high on the list because I think it's going to be a brighter blue than all the others. But it's called Blue-Black, so you know what? We'll give it a shot. And then the whole pigmented aspect too, what that means is there's, well, as you might guess, pigment in the ink, which is kind of interesting. It gives it more permanence and more water resistance, so that's really cool and desirable. But it can be a little higher maintenance in the pen. If it dries up in your pen, it's more of a pain to clean out. Kind of like the Iron Gall ink, but formulation is a little different. Right. Gotta say, that went down pretty dark, actually. I think it's gonna change a lot as it dries, though. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, yeah, that is a brighter blue. Oh boy, it's almost like a turquoise kind of color. It's a really nice looking color, though, especially for a pigmented ink. Usually pigmented inks are pretty like, not that exciting color-wise. This one looks good, though. I don't think it's gonna rank all that high, but I kind of disclaimed that one. Yeah, we'll give it a second to dry. I'll clean up my pens and we'll take a look. All right, Pigmented Seiboku. That's going to go at the bottom. It really is, it's pretty borderline of what I would even consider a blue-black. If it didn't have the name blue-black, I don't know if I would even classify it as that. But there you go, it's at the bottom. Now let's move on to the other one, Souboku. Sailor Pigmented Souboku. Okay, this is Sailor's other pigmented ink. They have a black one too, but this is the other blue pigmented ink, known as Deep Blue. But it should be blue-black. I think this is like, they've had the other one for years. I don't know that they could rebrand it and not confuse the heck out of everybody. But if you are looking for a pigmented blue-black from Sailor, I think Souboku is going to be the one that you actually want to look at. There we go. It doesn't help that the names are so similar to each other as well. And on the bottle, if you have them next to each other, the color of the label is slightly different. It may very well be that the Japanese characters are slightly different as well, but I don't think so. They look the same to me. Well, no, they are slightly different, but I don't read kanji, so for me, it's very difficult to tell the two bottles apart. Yeah, there we go. So this is definitely going down darker. It's going down much more gray and muted. That's what I would expect more with a blue-black. So I think that's going to probably fit the bill a little bit more than the Seiboku. But we'll give that a second to dry. All right, it's dried a little bit. More of that gray is kind of coming out. I think this is going to fit the bill a little bit more for a blue-black as opposed to a brighter blue. Is it going to take place over Shin-kai? I think so. It's a little bit darker. It's a little less sheeny. Now, Private Reserve. Ooh, that's tough because it is a deep color, but I don't know. It's like more of a dark teal. I think I'm going to have to move that down. We'll put that right there. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. The Atramentis Document Black Blue. We're going to find out if a black blue is a lot different than a blue black. Let's see. It's the only black blue on the list here today that we have. Now this is a document ink. I don't know what kind of magic they put into this to make it a document ink, but it's very water resistant. The Atramentis is known well for their document ink line. This is the blue black, the bluest, or the blackest bluest, whatever from their line. So let me write this out. It's got a nice long name. Whoa, this is wet. Holy moly. Oh my gosh, I can't even contain this. All right, we got a black hyphen blue. Wow, it is really wet coming off the glass pen. Probably not the preferred medium for this ink. You need something with a thinner nib to contain this thing. Now it's already drying and absorbing, so if you want faster drying, I think this is really good for you. I mean, other ones, they still haven't dried yet. No, let me go ahead and do the swab part before I talk too much. Let's see. But boy, did that soak into the paper super quick. And this is very ink-resistant paper too. That I'm kind of blown away by that, to be honest with you. I mean, it's going down. Dang, look at this. It's like dried already. Holy cow. Okay. Wow. That was not expected. I knew they dry fast, but that you like watched that happen, right? That's crazy. I will say it looks the least impressive. There's a compromise for having that fast drying that absorbs into the paper like that. It like flattens it out and really mutes it out. So it's very much like a muddy gray blue color, which is not bad, but it definitely does not have the character that a lot of these other colors do. And if there was any paper to bring out the character of any of these inks, it would be Tomoe River. So that's kind of wild. So let's see where I want to rank. I don't even have to wait for this thing to dry. That's crazy. Where do I want to put this one? Gosh, I feel like it's got to go above the Pigmented Seiboku. Shin-kai. That's tough. Oh, this is so flat looking. It's not my personal preference. The Infinity. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I could go any higher. I think it's just gonna have to live here for the time being. I got 2 more inks to go. LAMY Crystal Benitoite. All right, we got a LAMY in the house now. Now, truth be told, I definitely pronounced this ink benitoite for a while until I was corrected. It's pretty funny, right? So I definitely still lovingly refer to it as benitoite around the office here. LAMY Crystal, so this is their like slightly higher end line of inks, but still like reasonable, nothing crazy. But their crystal line of inks is more interesting colors, more saturated colors. LAMY Crystal. Benitoite. That is a mineral, by the way, if you're not aware. You're just like, what the heck is that word? It's a mineral. Benitoite. Look it up. Google it. You'll be amazed. Maybe. I don't know. It's a mineral. If you find minerals amazing, then you'll be amazed. What am I doing? I'm capping it when I haven't finished the job. All right, let's give this thing a swibbity swab. Okay. This is a nice looking blue. It is a little on the bright side, maybe. Not as like wet as I would have thought. I'm gonna probably put a little more down in there, but okay. Let's see how this dries. It's getting darker. It's darkening up as it dries here. Let's see what happens in a minute. All right, LAMY Crystal Benitoite. Where should this fall? This really looks a lot like a navy blue color. I might have to wait for it to kind of fully dry to see. Gosh, the Atramentis just, it looks kind of gross to me. I don't know. This is going to be super subjective. And y'all can hate me for this. That's my least favorite. It's got cool properties and stuff like that. Not hating on the document ink, but that color just is not ringing my bell. Crystal Benitoite, that is a really nice color. I think that should go above the Private Reserve. Let's see. I'm going to let it fully dry before I do my locked-in final answer. That seems okay for right now. I don't know. I might have to move some things around. We'll see. I'm going to do them all, and then we'll do the final movement. Diamine 1864 Blue-Black. All right. We ended up having some shipment issues with a bunch of our Diamines. So I had to go with a sample on this one because literally we're going to get a shipment the next day after we're filming this. Otherwise, I would show you the bottle, but I got a sample to go off of right now, so that's what we're going to do. This is the last one of the bunch. I got to say, I've been very pleased with the variety of these colors. Got some surprises, some dark horses. I don't know, this is going to be tough to rank out as a final thing. So we're going to see what happens. Okay, Diamine 1864 Blue-Black. I will say Diamine has a number of really nice looking dark blues. You know, you got Regency Blue, you've got Denim, you've got a bunch of other ones. I was consulting Rachel because she's great with colors and was helping me narrow down the list. And she was like, nope, that's navy. Nope, can't do that one. It's not blue-black. And I was like, okay. So there were a bunch of really, really good Diamines that didn't make the Rachel cut for what's blue-black. But They have a good number of them, and Noodlers too. I honestly could have made this whole list Noodlers because they have a ton of Blue-Blacks. But yeah, I wanted to try and mix it up, get a good dispersion of brands, good dispersion of, like, you know, properties, but still stay within the Blue-Black realm. This is interesting. Oh, this almost has like a little bit of a purple leaning to it. This is different. I kind of like it. This is dark. This is going to be real dark. Let that dry for a minute as I clean out the pens and see what happens. All right. We're mostly dry here. Boy, this 1864 Blue-Black is dark. That is the darkest of the bunch. So this is really more of a kind of a black. Black with a dark blue. Is that navy though? I don't know. It's a very dark navy perhaps. Ah, man, this is tough. I definitely feel fine about the Atramentis being here at the bottom. I did confirm. I was trying to go from memory. TWSBI Blue-Black is iron gall and water resistant. Noodler's 54 is not iron gall, but it is bulletproof. It is, you know, permanent ink. So that has that going for it too. I think that's part of why it's so popular. But honestly, all these are pretty popular inks. Boy, what should the final ranking be? I feel pretty good about what's on the bottom here. The Pigmented Souboku, I'm sorry, I think that's got to go down. I do. I don't know if it should, you know, because of the permanent properties to it. I think that it's not a requirement, but I feel like the permanent properties give it a little bit of an edge because that is like the OG spirit of Blue-Blacks. Oh boy, next to the Benito, I think the Blue-Black is, the 1864 it's just so dark. It really looks dark, like a black. Oh boy, see, we got like all permanent ones up here now. Where should these rank? Salix is nice, but it's a bit vibrant. I think I'm gonna swap that with the TWSBI and the 1864. It doesn't have the permanent properties to it. I wasn't going into this thinking that was going to be as much of a deal breaker, but I feel like it's definitely a factor. So I feel good about those as the top three. Should TWSBI beat out the 54th Massachusetts though? That is tough. You got two permanent inks. Noodler's is so popular. It's so well regarded. Gosh, this is a really tough one. All right, because I know 54th is so popular, it's wanting me to sway my opinion a little bit there, but if I forget about that and I just look at, like, to my eye, which looks more of what I think of Blue-Black, it would have to be the TWSBI. So I don't know. I think the TWSBI is actually kind of coming out on top for me here. It's kind of surprising, you know, but honestly, these are all really great looking colors. This is, you know, you think of like a Blue-Black as like, oh, this is just like an alternative to black ink. You know, how exciting can that really be? But what's so fascinating about just fountain pen inks in general is, you know, you look on our site and there's over 800 colors and you're like, how could there possibly be that many colors? Well, you see, even an ink that's called Blue-Black, it can look so different, not to mention the different properties and things like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of, you know, commentary here. I just find it fascinating and I really love doing these videos for that reason. So I think I feel pretty good. I think I feel pretty good about this list. It's very much up for debate. I could probably swap a few of these around and feel perfectly okay. But I think I'm going to go ahead and lock it in, say, here's my ranking. And yeah, you can check all these out. You can get samples, you can get bottles at gouletpens.com. That's kind of like what this is all about, you know, show you what's going on. But also, you know, that's how we fund these videos. So, you know, if you want to support us, that's awesome. We want to do more videos like this. So what other colors or what other properties should we do for this style of video? Let me know in the comments and we'll just keep it going. We'll do some more. So that's all I got for you. Again, I'm Brian Goulet. Thanks for watching and right on.